hey, welcome to the show. Secondhand blasters, let's go. Gonna break it down, piece by piece. Nerf's got a secret we'll release.
What is up, Nerf Nation? It is your boy Normatico, and I am here with not a review, but another one of my lists for 2024. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 most disappointing blasters of 2024, as well as the worst 5 blasters total for 2024. Now, there might be some overlap in this list, so be prepared for that. But that being said, let's start with the top 5 disappointments of 2024. Now, number 5 and number 4 were very close, kind of close to call, but I had to give the new guy on the block, number 5, only because it's time to show some grace. Let's talk about Siren Blasters. Now, Siren announced their series right around mid-2024, and people got really excited because they were like, ooh, a new blaster company. Hey, they promote that they actually spoke with the hobbyists and were all about the pro community. Let's see what they have to say. Oh, they collaborated with people in the pro community and in the hobby community. These blasters should fit the bill very nicely for everything that we want. What we got were 3 blasters. Of course, this one right here is the Gnarl, you have the Mauler, and you have the Blink. Now, you have 3 blasters at a decent price. The Gnarl was going to retail at $24, the Mauler at around $40, and then the Blink was around $100. The Blink being a variable rate flywheeler that is capable of going, I want to say, almost 200 feet per second. I do not own a Blink, but if you actually have one, correct me in the comments, please. I do invite you. But what I can talk to you about is the Gnarl and the Mauler. Let's start with the Gnarl. Now, the Gnarl, of course, is just a single prime pistol. It is mag-fed, and it does come with a baby magazine. I don't have the magazine in it right now because it's actually sitting inside my Cheetah because I think it looks really nice. And it does come with 5 of the Siren darts. The problem that this blaster has is that this pull right here, this little ring, it is uncomfortable as heck to fit your entire finger through, and that is really hard. So, that being said, when you actually pull this thing, it is not an easy prime. Now, the blaster is capable of hitting 150 FPS, and yes, it can hit that with the Siren darts and with Bamboo 2s. But once you actually start changing to other darts, such as worker darts, the performance does start to drop, obviously, because of the dart type. I understand that. Now, here is why it's a disappointment. We spoke with the hobby community. We spoke with the pro community. We designed a great blaster. Ooh, ah, yeah. Yes, for $25, it is okay. For $17.99, it is okay also. What's not okay is when you start to make boasts of, well, nothing compares to this. Look, I can pull out a Mark II knockoff, one of the generics that you can find on Amazon for like $24. Actually, I think I've seen them as low as $21 now. And that is the Mark II, like the Dart Zone Mark II Pro. And they're capable of hitting 125, 130s, and the prime is so much easier than this. If you'll bear with me, a quick little jump cut, I'll show you what I mean. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a generic, doesn't really have a name. It says it's the M5 Future, and as you can see, it is just a Mark II knockoff. Now, it is hyper-realistic looking. I do apologize. Hopefully the YouTube algorithm doesn't kick my channel off because of this, but that prime is so much easier. So, of course, just like the Mark II, it does have its own shortcomings because it is an internal magazine that you have to use another clip and spring load into it. But that being said, when you're able to get something like this for about $20 and it performs and it hits the 120 to 130 range, this, you know what? It makes it harder to buy because that is usable in a battle. This is not so much. Now, I'll tell you that it does have a good seal on here and it is fun to plink with, but I'm not going to spend $20, $17, whatever dollars to plink around the house with this thing. I want a pro level blaster that I can take actually to a 150 round and have some fun with, and this ain't it. So because of that, it nails the disappointing list. The other thing I'm going to point out, and mind you, I have not personally experienced this, there have been reports of this shooting out the barrel just as well as it can shoot the darts, so that's also a quality control issue. So there's that one regarding the Gnarl. The Mauler. The Mauler actually does what it's supposed to do. I will tell you that my main issue with this blaster is that the prime is so difficult. Now, I have it on its lowest setting. Now, that will get you around 130 FPS. I think 150 roughly. And here's the truth. That is a hard prime. For the amount of effort that I put to prime that blaster, I put much less effort in the X-Shot, long shot, and it gets around the same range stock. When you modify the long shot, as I have, with 17 coils of K25, the performance boost is similar to this one with the hard spray. Now, my X-Shot long shot, I don't have to brace against my shoulder to fire. So that is the main issue that I have with the Mauler. It does come with a 10-round magazine. It does come with 10 of the Siren darts. The Siren darts I am kind of fond of. My only problem with them is how expensive they are. And if we are going to collectively take a dump on Hasbro over their Ultra Darts and throw a complete fit because Ultra Darts, oh my gosh, they're so expensive, I cannot give the new guy on the block a pass. Not for their darts, no matter how cool I think they are. Now, they are a hard foam. They are really cool looking design. The yellow and the blue with the orange. It looks really neat. But again, if we're gonna go, bad on Hasbro because of the price of their darts, I gotta say the same about Siren. So there's that. Also, ergonomically, this blaster, it is uncomfortable. This little grip is very small for your hands, and this back here, right here, I don't know why they did this right here, but that just makes it uncomfortable to hold. And the back paddle right here, it's just not comfortable. I could try to run this, but I'll be honest with you, that Prime, I don't know if I got a bad blaster, if it's just a bad one that I purchased off of Amazon, but that's almost unforgivable. And then here's the other thing. If you have truly consulted with the hobby community, like you say you have, this right here, this should be detachable and Picatinny. Just like the long shot, just like anything Worker makes, this should be swappable. Congratulations, you pulled a Hasbro. Yes, you can buy a kit for this. It is designed by Drac. It is $16. I shouldn't have to pay Drac money to be able to slap on a new front grip. Yeah, I have a 3D printer. Why can't I 3D print my own part and use Picatinny? So because of that, congratulations, you were on the top 5 for the most disappointing blasters of the year. Number 4. So number 4, it does not belong to a particular blaster. We're going to be dealing with another series, and let's hop over to Hasbro. Hasbro. You are going to be on this list a couple of times. And how the mighty have fallen. When you said that you were dropping Elite 2.0 and you introduced N-Series, a lot of us got excited. I hear N-Series and I think, ooh, N-Strike. Wait, are we going back to our roots? Is the nostalgia button kicking in here? Am I feeling happy? Oh my gosh. Are we going back to how it used to be? Are we going back to the golden era? Well, what a letdown. Now, I'm not going to say that all of N-Series was bad. There are a few good blasters in the N-Series. The Pinpoint, I actually enjoyed once I modded it. The Sprinter, it's fun. I have no qualms with it. The Strike Back, with the exception of the fact that it uses N1 darts, I think it is cool. I like it. I would probably run it in a goofy backyard game. In fact, if there's ever a sub 100 round in my local Nerf club, I might just bust it out just for funsies. Why? Because people can look at me and be like, dude, why the heck is this guy using N-Series? But, it's just fun. So, again, there's potential there, but the rest of the series was kind of a letdown. The Agility, which was the first one that I tested, it was a replacement for the Strong Arm / Maverick / Disruptor / whatever rotating chamber top slide blaster you want to call it. But again, it showed they had potential, just it wasn't there yet. And when you make a big fanfare of eliminating and going to a proprietary dart type for your new line of blasters, you better hit all of the numbers properly. And you didn't. So because of that, you do hit my top 4 when it comes to the most disappointing blasters this year. And it's just the series itself. I hope that you have something up your sleeve for 2025, maybe a Rapid Strike or a Strife version of the N-Series. But right now, it's lacking. And even me, who I try to find something positive in almost every blaster, I have a hard time defending you now. So do better, Hasbro. Number 3, and I'm going to hop on one of the darlings of the community. Let's talk about Dart Zone. Dart Zone, now understand this one, it is a disappointing blaster. It's not that it is a bad blaster. I need to put that caveat here right now before anybody jumps my stuff in the comments. And I know that there's a couple of people out there, if they are watching, I doubt they are, but if they are watching my channel, again, understand this was my experience with the blaster. It doesn't reflect yours, and you probably got yours for free to review, so yeah, you're bound to say good things about it. Me, on the other hand, I paid for my stuff. So let's talk about the Dart Zone Venom. Now, the Venom, it is a full auto pistol. It is a pretty decent blaster for what it is. And the price is fantastic. $49.99 or $39.99. It's okay. It's all right. The reason that you're hitting the disappointing list is because of the fact that your Dart Zone. So I'm going to hold you to a little bit of a higher standard because everything else that you've made has been so good. And when you announced a full auto pistol that was supposed to do what a Nightingale could do when it goes full auto, at that price, I was like, okay, you have my attention. And here was the problem. So rather than opting for the obvious dual stage trigger setup, which a lot of people did with the modding, you decided to introduce this rear rev trigger that is in the palm of your hand. Now, when most people grip a pistol, they kind of like to squeeze, and I'm not going to say that they have a death grip on it, but it takes a while to get adjusted to holding the Venom so that it's not constantly revving. Now, again, that is a user issue, obviously, but when you're creating a blaster, you have to have the end user in mind. And not everyone has dainty little fingers and keeps a loose grip on their blaster. When I actually pull my blaster out of its holster, my palm is going to grip that rev trigger. It is going to announce to the world, hey, here's your target. So when you're trying to sneak up on people, it's not an easy blaster to use. The other thing I'm going to point out, and I have to point this out because, again, because of the debacle that happened last year with the release of the Omnia, you get no more good graces Dart Zone when it comes to doing releases. Quality control issues on this blaster were a little bit, shall we say, lacking. Now, I thought it might have just been my blaster that had this issue. I've actually tested with 3 blasters, and all 3 have the same issue. Not everyone has it, but the 3 that I played with did. The XT30 connector. Now, an XT30 connector is smaller than an XT60, obviously because 30 is smaller than 60, but anyways, that is what connects to the LiPo battery. You usually have the female side in the blaster and the male side in the battery. So, or no, male side in the blaster, female side in the battery. Here is the issue with the XT30 connector in the Venom. The actual shielding that covers the male pins that plug into the female part, it fell off. It literally just pulled right off as I was barely gripping the wires to try to hold it and connect it. That is an issue. That is a major issue because when you connect 2 metal points together and there's current running through, congratulations, you might shock somebody. Now, it is not a high voltage thing. You're not going to electrocute yourself and die. But again, it is a safety issue. So when I actually sent an email to Dart Zone regarding this, I got nothing. I got no response at all whatsoever, which is different than what I got from the Omnia. So again, disappointing, not very happy about it, but I still run my Venom because I was able to fix the problem myself, but not everyone is skilled with electronics or likes to mod their blasters. So because of that, Dart Zone, your Venom hits my most disappointing list for 2024. Again, not that it is a bad blaster, it's just disappointing. Number 2, and number 2, I'm going to go on to another darling in the hobby community, Worker. Worker, you had a spectacular year, all in all. The Quinlan, #1 blaster of the year, hands down. Anybody who disagrees with that is wrong, just wrong. There are 2 types of people. There are the people that like the Quinlan, and there are the people who are just wrong. There, I said it. Yes, I'm a snob. Yes, I'm an elitist. You either get a Quinlan, or you're just wrong. Okay, anyways. However, the disappointing blaster that you released this year was the Nightingale 2. Now, I love my Nightingale. My Nightingale 1's right here. Well, you can't really see it because of the mask, but, and I take that thing to almost every outing. It is my sidearm. It is quintessentially the perfect flywheel pistol. No doubt about it. You have around 125 to 135 FPS range. It is LiPo powered. It is really cool. It's the rev, it's fantastic. It zips, it's great. Everyone who's handled it that has not been part of the hobby community is like, wow, this thing's amazing. How much did it cost? So when you released the Nightingale 2, everyone had high hopes. We're like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa, are we going to do what we did with the Phoenix, that the Phoenix 2 blew the Phoenix 1 out of the water? No. No, you didn't. What you opted to do was that you basically re-released the Nightingale 1 with an extended pistol bag. So, I mean, it's a little bit longer. And then you took the kit that you already sell for the Nightingale 1 and just slapped it on stock. So while that might sound like a great deal, and ideally buying a Nightingale 1 and buying the kit, you're saving by buying the Nightingale 2, why do we need side rails and all of the railings for a Nightingale, which is a small pistol? Who are you trying to make this for, Worker, is what I'm trying to ask. You are assuming that people are going to make it into a carbine kit, and I mean, I guess that would be why you would do it, but I don't see the purpose of this blaster, especially not when the Nightingale 1 is still selling and is still on the market. I feel like you actually just made this just say, hey, we did something this year. So yeah, again, it was disappointing. Again, not that it's a bad blaster, I just don't see why. I don't see who it's for, and frankly, I feel like you could have done better, Worker. We always expect good things out of you. Moving on in the #1 spot, you know what? We have to go back to Hasbro, and I hate to have to put this one on the list because I had such high hopes for this blaster, and I genuinely actually enjoyed it when I reviewed it. We're talking about the Nerf Pro Sender. Now, because of the fact that I got to play with this blaster quite a bit after I did my review, it is going to make my top spot for most disappointing blaster of 2024. And here's why. I'm going to call out the elephant in the room, Hasbro. You set a standard for yourself when you released the Strife X. When you announced the Pro line, everyone had high hopes. Strife X came out, and yes, it was overpriced. I'm not going to lie. The Strife X was overpriced for what it was, but it did its job. It was a Strife. You had pro Strife performance. You had great accuracy. You had a fantastic trigger system. You had a magazine system that worked, and the magwell was awesome. All of that went out the window with the Sender. Now, the Sender had several issues with it. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room first. 8 batteries, Hasbro. 8 batteries. 8 AA batteries that die faster than fast with the Nerf Pro Sender. I put in fresh AA batteries in there, and they died within the day. I used my IMRs, which were fully charged, and they died within the hour. So that's a problem there. You are releasing a flywheel blaster that is pro level when every other blaster out there, every single last pro flywheeler is LiPo ready out of the box. Why couldn't you follow suit? You did it with the Strife X, even though it had that annoying proprietary LiPo battery. But again, you could have done the same thing with the Sender and been perfectly fine. You chose to go AA's, and because of that, the blaster suffered significantly when it came to performance. The other thing I want to point out is that magwell design. Now, it works okay, kind of, when you use the actual proprietary Nerf Talon magazine, I guess the angled Talons, but when you actually use a regular Talon, it does not work very well. Yes, the regular Talon does go inside of there. I should say the angled Talons go inside of there, but you actually have to really want to put it in there and really want to take it out when you pull the mag release. So because of that, you cannot just reload on the fly as instantaneously as you could with other blasters. You get a big ding about that one. The other thing is the rev trigger. I should say the actual pull trigger. That thing is just really badly designed. You took a Raven, made a Pro Raven, and rather than fix the issue that came with the original Raven, you said, let's double down on make it worse. So is it possible to fix these things? Yes, it really is. Should you have to fix it? No, you really shouldn't. It's the same way that with the Dart Zone Venom, can you fix that XT30 connector? Yes, you can, but you shouldn't have to. So the other thing I'm going to point out is the dart type. When you release Strife X, you released a dart type that was fantastic. The half dart, the AccuStrike half darts, good, fantastic. The ones that you released afterwards, the Pro half darts, no. Quality control issues right out the door. I did not have the QC issues that other people's had with their store-bought blasters. However, when I bought an extra set of the Nerf Pro darts, atrocious. Like, absolutely atrocious. And then in a world where Dart Zone's able to sell 200 darts for $19.99, and those are the Bamboo 2s, and they're able to sell 150 of their Nitro darts for like $13.99, how is it that you're able to sell, or you think it's okay to sell subpar darts for the same price as their top-of-the-line darts, and you only get half as many? Hasbro, I'm going to break something to you, and not like you're watching now, but you are no longer the king of the game. You were the first, and not even you were the first. Nerf was the first. But Nerf has evolved into something else. Nerf has evolved more than just a brand. Nerf has evolved into a hobby. Nerf has evolved into, it's like saying Band-Aid. Band-Aid's a brand, yes, but also Band-Aid, everyone calls any sort of bandage a Band-Aid. So there you have it. When I ask for a Nerf blaster, I'm going to get somebody something from X-Shot. I'm going to get somebody something from Dart Zone. I'm going to get somebody something from wherever. It doesn't matter if it's a Nerf brand or not, because it's all a Nerf blaster. Again, just because you have the name doesn't mean that we're going to fork out all the money in the world just for your name anymore. There are better options out there. So that is it for my top 5 most disappointing blasters of 2024. Now, we're going to shift focus here and talk about the top 5 worst blasters. Now, there may be a little bit of overlap here, and I'm going to apologize in advance for that. But let's get to it. Moving on, let's talk about the top 5 worst blasters of 2024. 2024, it saw some really great ones, but it saw some stinkers. We already discussed the disappointments. Let's talk about the stinkers. And rounding off the top of the list, let's discuss Dart Zone. Now, Dart Zone usually comes out with a really good quality product, and they license under the Adventure Force brand through Walmart. So one of the blasters that, in my opinion, was one of the worst of 2024 was one that nobody asked for. Nobody really knew who it was for. I'm going to try to take a guess when I describe it. But it is the Lancer. Now, the Lancer, for those who have not seen it, it is a Gatling-style rotating barrel blaster that is front-loaded. Now, who asked for this? I don't know. Most Gatling blasters that I know usually utilize a chain system, but this one decided to go with a front load. So you actually prime the handle and it rotates and fires and so on and so forth. Now, technically, it does get up to 80 feet, and yes, you can hit 80 feet with it with an angled shot and some decent wind behind you. But that is where it ends. It is $14.97 at Walmart, and even that I think is a little bit overpriced for what it is. However, again, Walmart. Now, who asked for this blaster? I do not know, but it is definitely on my top 5 list. In fact, it starts the list off. Now, there are worse blasters than it, but my issue is that why should I get that when I can get the V-Twin for about $10 more, and it's motorized and performs way better? So, my best guess is that this blaster, which is marketed for 8 and up, is for kids that are not capable of loading the Crusher by X-Shot or the Omega by X-Shot that actually uses a chain-fed system, which, admittedly, it is not the easiest thing to load because you have to know exactly how to line up the shells properly and then crank and then pull and so on and so forth. But to nerf it down so badly, yeah, I don't know who this is for, especially when you're marketing it for 8 and up, and the Crusher's for 8 and up. So, yeah, why? Now, number 4. Number 4 actually does belong almost to an entire series. They were one of the biggest disappointments of 2024. We're talking about the N Series. More specifically, I'm going to talk about the N Series Gear Up Pack. I don't know what this was for. There is a Jolt reskin. Actually, there's 2 Jolt reskins in this Gear Up Pack, and then there is the little quad shot rotating barrel blaster. Don't ask me for the name of it because, frankly, it's so forgettable. The performance on these blasters are all not quite what N Series standards is supposed to be. I believe that the quad shot got almost 80 FPS at some points, but the averages were low. They were just above Elite 2.0 standards, not quite what N Series had set the bar for. The other pack that was released for it, it saw nothing but re-releases and reshells of the Ward, which is kind of a stinker. The other blasters in the N Series that make this list also include the Minecraft crossbow, which, again, I, for better or worse, was able to buy a case of them off of an auction because I wanted to test it out. And anybody want a free blaster? Because I'll give them away. You don't even have to pay for shipping, just get them out of my house. And I don't. Number 3, we're actually going to focus also on Hasbro, and they're part of their zombie line. So the zombie line, I don't know how to say this. The pedigree of the zombie line was Z-Strike, and Z-Strike had some really cool blasters. Then you have one of the first 3 blasters for the zombie line. You have the Strikeout. And Hasbro struck out with the Strikeout. Was it a blaster? Was it a melee weapon? What the heck was it? Well, it didn't do either very well. And here's why. If you saw my review, here's a quick glimpse of it. You have a piece of foam that looks like a blade saw on a bat that is so freaking hard that you hand that to any kid, they're going to whack the crap out of somebody and they're going to give them a concussion. That's a Strikeout in a brief description. Oh, and it can fire 2 darts badly. So, yeah. Better alternative, go back to 2023, get the Babysitter's bat for about $5 more, and you're set. Number 2. Now, I put a lot of thought into the second worst blaster of 2024. And, again, there is overlap here. Sofiton, your little BS sci-fi blaster thing, I don't want to get my blood pressure up. It was bad, y'all. It was horrible. It was horrible. But it doesn't quite hit number 1. The worst blaster of 2024. And the fact that it is so highly rated on Amazon blows my mind. I don't know what these people are seeing that I didn't, but I certainly will not change my mind and I will die on this hill. The Fortnite Halftone Hero. Now, I did not have high hopes for it in the very beginning because of the fact that it was a Fortnite series blaster and they notoriously underperform. However, I did not expect it for it to underperform as badly as it did and just to be as bad as it was. It is what happens when you hand an 8-year-old some crayons and say, hey, design something that looks cool. Okay. And here's what the blaster has going for it. It has a pretty skin. That's about it. The blue, the gold, the black, and the white colorings look nice together. That's it. Is it hammer action? Yeah. Is it a break action? Yeah. That alone should have made it a really cool blaster. It should have been good. They killed it by adding a smart AR and by making a shell for it that you can't really aim with. Now, the funny thing is that Hasbro proved already in 2024 that they can make a smart AR work. They did it with the Ward for the N series. But they failed miserably with the Halftone Hero. What am I talking about? Well, the first layer of the smart AR you get in the Elite 2.0 ranges of 70 to 75 FPS. The second layer, you're looking at already the low 60s, 50s. Third layer, mid to low 50s. Fourth layer, you are going sub N strike. We're talking like 40s and below. So the diminishing returns in the Smart AR system are well established already. I've seen that several times before in older blasters that I've gotten used. But the first time I've actually got one new in box, what the heck? This was just bad. And in the way that the Smart AR system was set up, it's side by side. So when you try to aim with this thing, because of the fact that it is designed like an elephant gun, you can't really aim with it. And it's just not, it's not there. I mean, this thing was just so bad. And for $19.99, I expected something maybe a little bit better. But again, that $19.99 should have just all gone to the Epic Games, because that's what you're paying for, is the Epic Games tax. And when you're making a blaster and you're touting it as the last ever Elite style blaster, you better do better. Because all you did was leave a sour taste in our mouth, and we say good riddance to the Elite series. The number one worst blaster of the year. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 worst blasters, ranked from best to worst. If you have any questions or if you have any other differing opinions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I'd also like to see what other people think are the worst blasters of the year, because frankly, that's just this reviewer's opinion. I'm sure that you all have different opinions. Until next time, and until 2025, keep on blasting.
We won't stop. Hey!